Welcome to the Real Talk with Missy and Fabio.
The honest side of real estate with all you must know to survive in this market.
Hello, everyone. Today we have, oh my God, we are very, have a great show. It's a show?
It's a great episode.
Well, I hope so.
I'm trying to be like a host from, radio station, famous guys, anyway. But we have somebody that we really love, and we love to be around him because he's a hustle. He's consistent working.
Positive, always got a smile.
Always.
To
be honest,
you made me blush.
You're a guy that inspired me because I can see your video every day. I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, I see you there. Yes. So, and sometimes we were talking about before that it's a lot of people complain. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes not complaining or whining or whatever, making an excuse. You have to do what you have to do.
Well, consistency always beats talent.
So we're going to get right into this.
So, hey guys, I'm Gordon.
This is Gordon Duncan.
Well, everybody knows Gordon.
So he's going to be just really super honest with us, and we're going to share a lot of fun stuff today, I think, maybe. Yeah. But we would love for you all to subscribe. Please push the button, ring the bell, do whatever it is you got to do to pop up in our world every time we pop up in your world, and we would be ever grateful.
And by any chance, if you have any question or anything that we can bring here so we can talk about it, just please do it.
And we'll drop a link in for Gordon's business also. So if you are inspired or moved by anything that he is sharing with you guys, click on it, and
thank you.
We will expose him to you also.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about you used to be a pastor.
I did used to be. You
need to go back before that, though.
So,
that's for sure.
Okay.
Start with Amy.
So Amy, my beautiful bride, we've been married 26 years. And we have 3 daughters, 20, 18, and 16, who are also amazing and smart and beautiful.
So different.
They are all 3 amazingly different personalities.
Their own identities.
I absolutely love it. I can spend time with each one of them, and we're going to do something different with each one of them.
You won't. I'm
They're
sure you
creative
get confused.
and beautiful. What's that?
I'm sure you get confused.
No. I mean, you know how it is. I have a unique relationship with each one of them, and we're fortunate in that. Well, it gets harder when they get older. But I just love spending time with them. So I talk about my girls a lot. But Amy and I have been married 26 years. And we got engaged after our first date.
Wow.
We had been friends for a year.
Oh. Okay.
But on our first date, I took her to meet my parents.
That's a serious first date.
That's really tough.
Amy knew, she's like, something has changed here. And so, and we went to Barnes & Noble in Raleigh, back when Barnes & Noble was like a new thing, which was 94 or 95, something like that. And my dad spent about 30 minutes with her, said, hey, help me find a book, and he wasn't looking for a book.
Sign her up.
And he was like, she likes you? I'm like, he was surprised. And he was like...
From the mouth of your father.
That's exactly right.
She really likes you?
Yeah, Amy was getting ready to go to England for a year of school. And his exact words were, you'd be a fool to let her get on that plane without a ring. I was like...
But that's when you were a rock star?
I was a high school English teacher. I never achieved my rock star dreams. I did. So I wanted to be a drummer when I was a kid.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures. That's what I'm talking about. If you were like a famous rock star that we have here.
It'll happen one day. One day.
She went to Great Britain and...
Well, the funny thing is, so I was very traditional. I went to her father and said, can I get engaged? And he said, I want you to wait. He said, because if you get engaged now, she won't go the whole year. Oh. She'll come back after Christmas. Yeah. And so I said, please? And
my dad said.
And he was 100% right. She came back for Christmas and didn't go back.
Oh.
And then we got married in April the following year.
And this is all in Raleigh?
This was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I was a high school English teacher, and she was a nanny. And that's where we...
How was teaching high school?
I loved it. I was a teacher at an alternative school.
Okay.
So to get to my school, you had to have been expelled from a public school.
Oh, that's nice.
Game on, right?
But you know what? I was 23. I had all the energy in the world. I loved it.
Nice.
Really difficult, group of kids. But I loved it. I really did. I had all the energy for it. It's exactly what I wanted. I didn't go there as a last resort. I learned more about communication from those kids than grad school, seminary, anything else. Because I had an audience that really didn't want to learn. So.
With Facebook, so do you still have relationship with them?
Yeah, a couple of them. Now that we Facebook, a couple of them have reached out, and it's been fun to see them have kids. A few of them have reached out and said some really nice things to me. Oddly enough, as we work through the progression, after teacher, I was outside sales. I managed an eye doctor, and then I became a pastor. And then years later, when I was a pastor, one of my students was married, and they were also part of my church.
Oh,
so I got to see like his life. He became a was he a plumber or electrician? But anyway, he had this wonderful business.
Awesome.
I mean, he became really successful, and so yeah, I've been able to keep up with a couple of them. It's been fun.
We went to King George High School yesterday. It was awesome.
Oh, just speak to the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Jarvis
They understand my English. Can you believe that?
Jarvis Bailey brought us into his
love
personal finance and economics class.
Perfect.
And to talk a little bit about real estate, but also maybe just to kind of let these kids know that there are other options besides moving on scholastically, you know, it could be a trade or just to see real people and how we got to where we are.
Yes.
It was awesome. And the kids were really, they were engaged.
They were open to listening.
And I mean, the front row was like right there. I was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Man, that was the last time high school was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
School changed so much. Oh my God, this just looked like a college.
But what a great impression that you can make on those kids at that age and stage, especially the challenging crowd that really didn't want to be in school.
It was fun. I mean, I got to see some kids graduate who wouldn't have graduated otherwise. 40% of the ladies in our school had children. They had failed basically, just missed too many days.
Right.
And they needed a flexible school system, so they weren't necessarily, quote unquote bad kids. They didn't find a system that worked for them, and so we were super flexible, just trying to help kids along. But yeah, I got to see some kids graduate high school that would not have graduated. It was wonderful.
So then church.
So
How many years?
I was a pastor for 20 years, and I was a church planter, which is you go somewhere where there's not a church and start a church. So
you're always starting a business.
I'm a starter. In fact,
you're a starter.
The high school I taught at, my first day of teaching was the first day of that school. So yeah, I've been a starter in some way most of my life, and I think it's just, I didn't grow up wealthy. My parents had their house foreclosed on. I mean, a lot of it just teaches you to kind of be scrappy. It teaches you to pay your way through school.
I was listening to somebody Gary Vee was interviewing yesterday, and that's what that guy does. I can't remember. He's health something. Anyway, but I mean, he has started multiple businesses. He's a starter, but he knows he's a starter.
Yes.
He's not a finisher.
Yeah.
He knows when to get out, to take his proceeds and
I think
give it up to somebody else.
As a pastor, that worked well for me because I wasn't a guy who was skilled at being there for 20 years. So I started 2 churches. So it got to one point, and I'm like, you need someone else to kind of do that internal development for the next stage.
Right.
So in 2020, when we left the church we planted here in Fredericksburg to go full-time with the company, it was the right time. They had financial backing, they had leadership, and they needed someone who'd be gifted at that next stage. So here, this church, I think I left at the right time. The first church, maybe I should have left a little bit earlier. I think I hung in there because I felt guilty. I was like, it's the wrong thing to do. But no. But in 2020, we went full time. Would capitalize and went full time.
But now I can see that you're a pastor, you were a teacher. So now that's why it comes from your giver. You are a giver.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I know because you are always giving tips to people to be better and that's something that sometimes people think it's just giving like a money and stuff like that, but you're giving the time, you're giving your knowledge. And that's very important because right now we be able to share with people what we have.
Yeah, I had someone say to me the other day, asking me if I was worried that people wouldn't need my services because every day I was giving a tip online or something like that. And that I'm not worried about because one, I don't run out of things to say. I mean, and then two, the tips online lead to more questions.
Absolutely.
And then that gives me a chance to sit down and work with a company and develop it. And so I enjoy just picking up the phone every morning and just talking into it and posting it online.
So besides of that, what do you think is the really, what's the trick that moved your business to where you are right now?
Grant Cardone.
I'm a constant learner, and I will
remember how we met.
I will admit, yes, because I have absorbed
that comment the other day when you posted that. I'm like, oh my God, I remember you when we first met.
Yeah, so a backstory is I met Missy at the Cowan Starbucks, and we talked. So we
Starbucks?
Yeah, Starbucks. Yeah, and so we've talked about.
Pick up all my men.
And we talked about Grant Cardone and sales and marketing.
Well, you were going to his first 10X thing you'd ever been to, or something. Or no, it was the second time.
No, I went to my first 10X Growth Con in Vegas.
He came back. He was like it's glazed over, a new man.
I had no money. I took a Spirit airline to Vegas and
slept on a bench.
And but it was one of those times where I was doing the marketing company part time, but I needed to be around people who had an attitude of growth. Absolutely. And I almost didn't care what you wanted to grow about. I mean, it could have been golfing. I needed to be in that room. I got a ticket for like $99.
I remember you telling me.
I mean, I did everything on a shoestring. I went and bought the most money. I went and bought a new suit. I didn't have a good looking suit because he was like, "You better come here dressed," and I'm like, "I'm not going to be embarrassed." Came back just incredibly excited. The motivation for Capitalize really was one. I had that skill set that I wasn't using. That was part of it. I loved what I was doing at church, but marketing and business I wasn't using. But also, I mean, after planting 2 churches and my 3 daughters, I'm like, I really wanted to prepare more for them. I mean, I needed to make plans for weddings and college.
Yeah, weddings.
And then, you know, I'm 51, but I'm young. I plan on living a long time. I'm not going anywhere. So I wanted to develop that. Yeah. And then in 2020, during the lockdown, when we're all sitting around, I'm working as hard as I can on church. I'm doing video Bible studies and all those things, but you still had more time. And it let me sit down with the company and sit down with Amy, and it was risky. And I was like, "Are you ready for this, Amy?" And she was ready, and so the church was ready. And so it was like, now's the time we're going to leap. It's the best time to do it.
So you think if you have a time that you say, we are ready, or you just jump and say, we have to do it?
But you're never ready.
That's what I was talking about. You're never ready.
No, there were so many things I could not answer.
Yeah.
Wonderfully kind people that I had been at church with, but someone like, "You're crazy." I was like, "You've got a paycheck. We're still in the midst of July 2020, and I'm like, it's time. I don't have all the answers. What I can count on is I'm going to constantly learn. I'm never going to stop learning. I'll outwork anybody." And I mean, I've been at 0 before. Yeah. I've been at 5-figure credit card debt before. All those things. I'm built for it.
Well, like I said before, you are kind of an inspiration for me. I take it from everybody because
thank you.
I go to the office and you're always there. We are kind of compete with time to be there.
Yeah.
Our clothes, we don't compete with that because he's been he always buying a lot of clothes. So I say, my God. But
I love it when you guys have like close to the same suit jacket on.
It is fun.
Let me tell you, the suit that he has, I have it.
Oh, really?
So I never wore it, I just
behind. But we share a co-working space.
Yeah.
And I typically spend the mornings there and then get out and do stuff in the afternoon. So, I get there a little earlier than you, but that's all right. I've got to drop someone off at school, so I get there around 7:30 or so. Yeah.
But that's really something that we, sometimes people doesn't understand that it takes sacrifice sometimes. Where you want to go, it's not so easy.
Right.
But right now we have so many tools, so many things that you can. Knowledge is one of the things that I believe that you are able to get it all the time. I would say to you, read books. I love that.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have a bad habit takes good habits so fast.
Yeah.
Because I was reading a lot, and then I stopped and started watching TV, which is I wasn't watching TV because you start just moving the channel. You don't stay in. Right. And then you say, "Oh my God, 4 hours."
Yeah.
Doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's something that you have to kind of
We've got to build in disciplines. Like I know, since I run a lot, I'm going to listen to podcasts or books.
Go back to that too.
What's that? Am I running?
Why do you run? What has brought you to your health?
Initially, it was just arrogance. I went running one day, and I'm like, I'm going to run a marathon, and I didn't know anything, and bought a pair of.
That's not arrogance. That's
oblivious. Very much. I was ignorant, and so I bought a pair of tennis shoes from Kohl's and just went and ran a marathon, and it was a terrible experience. But I immediately fell in love with it, and then in 2012, I began suffering seizures. And went through a period of 2 or 3 years where I really could barely run. My brains were scrambled on drugs, and The doctors are doing everything they could.
Prescribed drugs.
Yeah, prescribed drugs. Thank you.
No, I'm just saying, people need to understand that even though they have seizures, there's maybe something else to do besides the prescription.
Yeah, and so I had to take the medicine to control the seizures. As they began to get in control, I told the doctor, I was like, I have to start running again. I want to get back. And so he completely, and this is amazing, I think, for a neurologist. It's not typically what they do. Like, he walked me through dietary changes and walked through, this is going to change not only your brain, but your body. So then I began to able to run distance again and eventually run marathons, to the point that my neurologist tells me my endurance running is necessary for my brain health because it fights the effect of my medicine. My one of the effects of my medicine is just fatigue. It slows my brain down. And so the endurance raises my metabolism. It helps fight those effects. So thankfully, I love it. I love running, but also it helps my brain.
Yeah.
It helps my brain. So I need those hours on the road. I need that time.
And you run every morning?
I run 6 days a week.
You do your slushy or whatever.
I do a smoothie. I run.
What's
and
your
then
recipe?
So
I know you told me this before.
So it's mixed fruit. It is coconut oil. It's collagen, banana, avocado, protein powder, chia seeds, and peanut butter. And so when I get back from running, I have that every single day. And I don't get tired. I love it. I don't get tired of it.
So it's just like a substitute for breakfast or something?
Yeah.
It's 700 calories every single day.
I can tell.
So, but
good calories.
But if I'm out running an hour.
Well, and not like he needs to worry about it either.
Well, that is the challenge. As much as I run, I do have to eat, healthfully. Because, again, I can't eat a lot of sugar. Sugars are bad for my brain.
Sugars are bad for everybody's brain.
They are. They're terrible for everybody's brain. And so, listen, if I'm at an event, someone gives me a piece of cheesecake, I'm going to eat the piece of cheesecake. But I regularly stay away from sugar.
Right.
I try
cheesecake
to.
Has
That's
what I'm trying to.
Yeah. I try to diminish. I try to diminish bread carbs. Bready carbs. But running and the epilepsy fighting, all that's. I feel like at this moment in my life, and it'll be different in 2023. But I'm at this wonderful moment where there's most every aspect of my life. I'm trying to take aspects to grow. And I feel like they fit together really, really well. Now, we all know that can get overturned at any point in time, and I'm not saying everything's at its best, but I love the rhythm and the freedom that I presently have, which I only have because I have the fortune of running my business.
Have you heard about Joe Dispenza?
I love Joe Dispenza.
I've been reading.
I've read
that's what I was talking
Joe
about
Dispenza.
because you were talking about the brain and stuff like that, and he's really.
Well, the brain is a muscle.
Yeah,
it's huge.
And I never thought, well, I can teach my brain to think differently, which is odd. That should be.
That's what he is.
That's right now.
It's a central tenet of the church, but it's not talked about in that way. But most of the time, we're victims of whatever our brain is telling us, and I want to tell my brain different things at times, right? If I get jealous, right? Fabio comes in, I'm like, man, I just don't look as good as Fabio, right? What I got to do is tell my brain, I was like, but you know what? I'm so excited for
damn
Fabio.
good looking.
I'm doing pretty well for my age, and Fabio looks good. I want you to have the new thing. And so, but if I don't tell my brain to do that,
that's what we are all trying
we
to
become a victim typically of negative
our
thoughts.
own heads.
But the good thing about it, because that's what I read the book, is because he say you have to pay attention to your behave through the day, because sometimes I have fear. Oh my God, this client I'm gonna lose it or whatever,
Oh yeah,
and that's really, it's not really.
But you shouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah, because
maybe I'll call her instead.
That's a negative. No, I already have it, but I still, I feel like oh my insecure.
Right.
So I have to change that because that's part of. You have to kind of get your brain in another direction.
The overwhelming number of negative thoughts we have in a day, those things typically never happen.
Right.
We run through disaster scenario after, and for some reason, we teach it to our kids. We don't teach it to ourselves.
What do you mean it never happened?
Well, we went through disaster scenario. This bad thing, this bad thing, and more of those happen.
I think it's 90% of what we thought never happened.
Yeah.
Well,
the negative stuff.
But listen, when our kids are getting ready to go, they got to take a test that day, and they're little, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be terrible." We say, "Well, don't think that.
Yeah,
don't think that."
That's right.
But then we don't practice that for ourselves.
Well, we don't have someone. Our self-talk is not a positive self-talk, or like I would say, "Oh, Gordon, come on, move on, you'll be okay."
Yeah, but
we don't do that to ourselves.
Right.
So, Gordon, do you do meditation?
So, I mean, I pray, and then my running is a form of meditation for me. Okay. And so I began to practice visualization after listening and reading from Joe Dispenza. And so I'll give you an example. I run the Richmond Marathon every year for my birthday. And so in that 26 miles, I can almost run through the whole marathon in my brain. I mean, I know like where the biggest 10 to 12 spots are. So I will sit quietly and think through the whole course, and I'll visualize myself doing it well.
Okay.
I know that it's cold at the starting line, and I know all the fears, but I think through what do I want to think at that point in time. I know there's this section where we run along some rapids, and that for me every year is the time where I recenter myself in the race. Like, it doesn't matter what's happened before.
Right.
The big crowd has died down. This is a moment where I can come. But then I also visualize the ending, and I visualize running down that hill and qualifying for Boston.
So you are looking the future like as a present.
Yeah, and I think through what I want that to be like.
Right.
My daughter's in marching band, and she sits and thinks through the entire marching band routine, just where she's going to be the whole entire time.
That's awesome.
So I'm very excited with this. So let me ask you, when do you find out that you are really getting into that stage, that you are really meditating in that time?
You know, I can't say I have a practice where folks will sit for 10, 20 minutes and there's sort of a blank space.
But even when you're running.
But when I'm running, I will realize I don't necessarily remember much of the last 3 miles, and nothing bad has happened. It's for lack of a better term, it's a flow state.
That's awesome.
Where and I absolutely and I might even have music on. I might even have some sensory, but I'm just enjoying it in my whole body. I don't know about you guys. Those moments, I mean, they're hard to come by.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to work really, really hard, but when they do, I mean, they're absolutely amazing.
Like, what just happened?
Yeah, and it's, time both stands still, but then also moves quickly at the same time.
Well, the book is talking about like you have to get in time that you be able to meditate it with your eye opens. You can walk, you can talk, or not talk. You can walk, you can running and stuff like that. So that's a state that I want to get there.
Even swimming. I think people
sure.
who swim.
I know a lot of people.
I mean, that's.
I know folks do it cycling. For me, it typically, I mean, I have to be alone typically for it to happen. But when you can find that moment, what it produces is amazing. Now, I don't mind, a couple days ago, I had a client cancel a contract on me. So we all have had contracts canceled, and you're counting on the money, and you're doing your work, and rightfully, I'm feeling frustrated by that, right? Yeah. So I will give myself the space. Like I need to feel exactly what this is right now. This should be a disappointment, but I don't give myself the space that for days.
Right.
Like I felt it, and when I wake up the next morning, I'm not getting that contract back. I shouldn't carry that feeling the next morning. It doesn't serve me in any way. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect at that, but I always tell myself, give yourself the day,
right?
Feel it. When I wake up the next morning, I wake up, I drink my coffee, I go running.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
I was reading some book and the guy said like, when you have something that happens to you like that, you just have to ask your question. What's the worst thing that happens if you don't take that, let's say, that business?
Well, really, and it's what can you do about it?
But
you can't do anything about it.
You're not going to die.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to happen. Okay.
Time is freed up, an opportunity for a new client, maybe a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need to do that contract anymore. There's tons of things to learn from it. But if I don't take that moment to feel it, there will be a problem.
Yeah.
Because those feelings, those emotions are there, and if it's suppressed, it's going to find its way to manifest in some way.
So I was listening to who's a gentleman that was a Marine that's like the super dude that gets on and he's like screaming.
The discipline is the way. That guy.
He is.
Discipline equals freedom, isn't it? Franco, not Franco. I know who you're talking about. It'll come to me in just a minute.
Anyway, it was just interesting because he is such a determined, a crazy person.
Jocko Willink. Yes, he is crazy.
He's just 100 miles an hour, but because his father beat his mother, his father beat him, and he harbored that, and everything was someone else's fault. He failed at school, but he didn't go to school. He couldn't get along with anybody, but it was because he was mad. He was angry inside. So then one day, I think he had gone into the Marine Corps, done his boot camp, and then finally realized, I have to go and confront my father. I have to go see my dad. And he went and saw his father, and they came to terms, or I think he kind of just let his dad know that he knew he beat the crap out of him, and that he needed to get it all out of his heart, out of his chest, and move on. Yeah. And now he is excellent at everything he does. He's superior at everything he does, but it's with a clear heart and a clear mind. And that's why I just kind of like these people that are in our world some days, it's like, just say it. Just move on. Some days you have to get it off your chest.
Bitterness like that. The only people we punish are ourselves. If I'm bitter against someone, half the time they don't know.
And the people that you love around you, because you're going to be...
Well, it comes out to other people. And so, but it's not easy. Of course, bitterness or forgiveness if someone hurts you is not easy. But
it's hard.
But it'll be poison if you don't do something with it.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So let me kind of turn it as a learner, a person who's always looking for the lesson and things. Shiny objects. Do you have that syndrome?
Oh, I could. Yeah. I mean, I have.
I mean, are there things that pop up?
I have 10 ideas a day. I do, and just like probably all of you guys do too. And so there's.
So what would your suggestion be? I mean, for those of us who are entrepreneurs, and honestly, some days I just feel like if we would just stay with the one thing we have and do it. So
a couple of things. One. We practically. Quick cash doesn't work. So if the shiny object is we all know that, and if it happens, it comes and goes. Quick cash isn't long-lasting cash. But let's say it's a program or a tool or something. We have to ask ourselves, am I truly going to be able to use this? I made an investment early this year in coaching, and we all know good coaching pays off.
Everybody needs a coach.
You pay good coaching, you get a dividend. But this coaching required a lot of me.
Yeah. When that happened.
And when I looked at the return of investment, I had to sit down and ask myself, am I going to do this?
Right.
And I'm still I have to put time into those tools every single day.
Right.
But for me, I just launched a coffee company, Capitalized Coffee, and that I had to be really careful. I did.
So we didn't know that.
It's Brain Healthy Coffee. It's literally just launched.
Well, Evelyn was telling me, but you know that he's selling coffee, I said?
Studying from Harvard, the optimal formula for brain health for coffee is organic, of course, but then certified mildew-free. So 40% of the coffee on the shelves have mildew in it. It's not going to kill you, but you can roast out the mildew, and then dark roast is better for you for your brain.
Okay.
So that combination.
What about some kind of oil?
So oil, if you add it, I'm talking about the coffee itself. So add the oil in, very good for you. Okay. But for the bean itself, organic, mildew-free, and dark roast. Well, I just had read a book called 12 Months to $1 Million about a guy who launched 5 products in 1 year, selling 25 units a day equals $1 million company. And I've been toying around with this, and I knew a roaster that would do a design for me. And I read that book 3 times, and so it literally just launched a couple of weeks ago. But it's Capitalized Coffee.
Where do you get that?
So you get it at capitalizedcoffee.com.
Oh, okay.
It's delivered to your home either in one-time shipment or on monthly shipments where it just shows up to your house.
Can we take it to Starbucks and ask them to use it?
Wouldn't it be great? I would love
I
to.
think you need, seriously. I go in and ask for my butter coffee and they're like, what?
Again, the whole idea was, to answer your question, is this a shiny object I'm chasing after? Right. So I did the math. How much do I have to do to be in the black? Because I can do all the designing, I can do the graphics work, I've got the roaster, I've picked out the bags. Those things were, since we're a marketing company, that was the easy part.
Really?
The bigger, because I can build a website, all the things. The question is, can I make this a sustainable company? So our goal is to launch 5 brain healthy products in the next 2 years.
Good.
So because again, and it fits. It's your capitalized. The idea is coffee that brings out your best.
Yes. So, but it's your passion too. It's your health need too.
I want the coffee and the branding to be a legacy company for my daughters. If they want it, that'll be there. So they may not want to be in marketing, but if they want to sell develop brain healthy products, go for it. Because with that same formula, it's not just for epilepsy. It helps the brain in issues of, it's not curing anything, but it helps the issues of everything from depression to Alzheimer's. You want your brain to be healthy. and we know that sugar's not healthy for it.
Right.
If I'm going to drink coffee, what's the healthiest way to drink coffee?
So we have here the new Starbucks.
Yeah.
There's
From
so many
here, from Fredericksburg.
There's like 3 new Starbucks going in. I'm gonna have to see if they'll carry it. But yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Boy,
but
what a great
I'm excited.
opportunity.
But right now you order online and ship it, and we just had our first international order, so I'm excited about that.
That's great. That's great. I love
So
that.
you can help us do something like that?
Of course.
So we're going to be #Missy and Fabio. We're trying to do something smart and all over the place to market.
You should. You guys.
We can do a line of blazers.
You very much should have a coaching program. You should, but there's an appeal to physical products. The profit margin is way smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's also a continuous line. So my goal is to get the coffee to 25 orders a day before we add the next product. But physical products, I had to think of something. What's continual? What do people continually need? Like T-shirts, they're not going to need it every single day.
No.
But if I can deliver your coffee bags to you once a month, and you don't have to think about buying your coffee,
Yeah.
I know what I want to do.
what's that?
It's a secret.
Okay,
so
well, we'll talk about it off camera. We should.
No, I've got a great idea.
We should, but you've got to be careful not. I mean, you're right. I could easily chase after shiny objects if I'm not careful.
Well, I think like in our world though, so many agents are struggling now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they came in, they just
Yeah.
do it, you lit on fire, but they never learned how to do their business because they've been running so fast for 2 years.
Yep.
They didn't have to know how to write a contract hardly.
That's
They
right.
didn't have to know how to market. They didn't have to know how to do any of these things. So it's very interesting because I'm listening to Tom Ferry and a couple other people like, pare down. You need to, cut everything out. Do this, do this. And I'm thinking, we're going to spend more. We're going to do more. We're going to focus because while everybody else is not doing, we're going to push as hard as we can these next 2 years.
And I think I mentioned to you guys, I was talking to some realtors the other day.
Yeah, that was
and so
what
the
I
two
thought.
things that are free is put out good content every single day, and then go network. Like, let people know you. Now, there's tons of things that you can pay for, coaching or other tools that are going to help you, but those are the minimums. And that's what your business, your industry has been for years.
Right.
2020 is not the norm.
That's
The
what
norm
we're
is like just hoofing it and networking it. And I mean,
It's relationships. It's all
It is.
about relationships.
So let's
right
steal
now.
from you a tips that for new guys and old guys in the new era of real estate.
yeah.
What we should do to be more present in our social media and stuff like that you think is, I know everybody say like a BU.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Anthony Glenn this morning? He gave like 8 or 10 things that you should do every day. It was scary, but if we did half of them every day, which probably is where we are, we're doing probably half of them. But
Well,
it's
you have
just,
to share that with me because I didn't.
I
listen to
wrote it on
Well,
a
I heard-
sticky.
Oh,
I have
okay.
it.
So
Send it to me. So
When we formed Capitalize in 2018, no one cared that I had been consulting before. No one cared that I had been marketing. And there's plenty of other people doing it. And we weren't great yet. I mean, by any means. But I immediately joined the chamber. And in 3.5 years, I went to 100 chamber events. And so
And where did that get you?
So it got me known. I can't look at that. I mean, I know I've paid for the chamber membership, certainly. But the bigger thing was no one knew who I was. I had to be known.
Right.
And so I took leadership positions in the lead chair or serving in places where I could. But the bigger thing is no one knew who I was.
yeah.
So the bigger thing is who's going to give me a room with 25 people that I can be in regularly. So then you grow and you're like, okay, I've done the intensity in that one place. Where else can I be with places? Where else can I? Yeah. And so we all know that we live in a town with a great downtown that's got an event every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they're free.
Right.
And then go be there. Here's one: find a charity and serve.
Yeah.
Don't do it to brag on yourself. Find something you care about and serve. And you will get business. People will they will refer you out. They will get, hey, you should talk to this person because they see you're serving. And all of that's free. What it costs is time, though.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what we can do is educate. I mean, just throw a video out there every day about something that we're educating
Yeah,
about. 'Cause
and
people
just
are
be
hungry
yourself.
to learn.
People do business with people they like,
Yeah.
and
Or they don't like.
well,
Then they don't do business with. But that's okay. We don't want them
it
in our
is,
life anyway.
But people need to know who you are.
Okay.
Someone starting in the industry right now, the biggest. What was the old Grant Cardone quote? They can't flow you if they don't know you. That's his old expression. But no one's going to do business with you if they don't know who you are.
I'm going to take that one for me. I'm going to be more than networking and stuff like that. So
you network great. You guys do really well. You really do. I think you guys are out all the time.
You do.
I'm going to slow down a little bit.
So,
yeah, but it's okay though.
Is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
because you were home with your family having dinner now and then. What a
Yeah,
concept.
Well, my wife said, you're not supposed to go to every...
Yes.
I read that you don't supposed to be... And I say, why?
It is good every now and then to show up and they go, hey, where you been?
Yeah.
And so that's not bad either.
But I'm going to ask you completely different because I know you have a passion that
These are like
I
the
share
most
with
questions
you.
he's
I'm
ever
having a
asked.
blast.
It's
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
on
yeah.
me.
Well, you know, Gordon
all
and I,
about
we
it.
have a back, you know,
Yeah.
story,
Okay.
you know. So let's talk about fashion.
Okay.
So when you have that feeling from where and when you started like a love clothes and stuff like that, because I know when I started.
This is very ironic if you knew me when I got here in 2013. I had long curly hair. I would not wear a jacket. I wouldn't wear. I mean, I even as a pastor, I did not dress at all. Someone described my style as disheveled casual. And I was like, so, but eventually, I'd love to blame the seizures, but I couldn't. I was a bum, and I was just happy to be a bum. But you know what happened? I'm sure it's something to do with 10X. Is I realized there's a professional nature. You don't have to wear a suit, but I need to be able to walk into any room and anybody feel comfortable doing business with me.
Right.
And so that I realized, well, I don't look that way right now. So
wearing your baseball hat backwards and your T-shirt with the
and
tats and whatever.
If you have an industry that allows you to do that and you can flourish,
but those are the people you
rock
attract.
Rock
those
on.
are the people you attract.
But I want to be able to walk into any room, and I want from the entrepreneur to the lawyer to the doctor to the realtor. I want anyone to feel comfortable with my presence.
Right.
And then I began to enjoy it. So I finally got a haircut. I need one now, but I got rid of the long curly hair. And then at some point in time, you start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then realizing that it wasn't as hard as I thought. You know, if you got 5 sport coats, you can almost do anything with that.
Yeah.
You really can. And a couple of suits, and then I was like, I gotta see Fabio every day. I gotta make sure I'm not. And then it's funny. Even when I'm sort of dressed casually, I'm dressed, you know, a little bit better. And there's just every now and then on Sunday afternoon you go out looking.
But we cash. We're usually jeans on the bottom, but try to do something nice up on the top.
But both of you guys,
it's the shoes too. You gotta have
shoes
some fun
mean
shoes.
a lot. Yeah, I wound up owning.
I got my silver shoes on today.
But see, I know I like those. But you wind up owning a lot of shoes, and but yeah, that's part of it. And then so now I get a subscription box.
Yeah,
every other month.
You do?
Yeah, that's where this jacket came from.
I love that jacket.
In fact, everything except the shoes I have on right now came from the subscription box.
I have to talk to my wife to see if I can do something like
well,
that.
you go in there and you design your style, you design the cost you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can tell them how much you want to spend, and if you don't like it, you can send the whole thing back and not pay for it.
Can you wear it first?
So I think they give you a certain number of days. I've only sent 1 or 2 of them back.
I just want to see if it worked.
But they'll ask you, go online, did this fit well, and that kind of thing. So they've got me pretty well zeroed in.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah. So,
I'm going to try to do that.
Yeah, just if
they won't make you happy, you know.
I don't think they're going to.
No, it's going to make me happy. It's just my wife is not going to be happy. She's the one that takes, the budget and stuff like that. She said every time, where do you go? What do you buy? Then I say, okay.
She's got a tracker on his credit card.
All the time.
Oh, I bet. But speaking to it, I mean, all of a sudden you begin to care about, your watch. I mean, am I wearing a business watch when I'm in public? And again, I'm truly not trying to impress anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making myself happy the way I dress. And I want to be in a room.
Well, it's a confidence thing for yourself too, I think.
It is.
I feel like if you look and you feel like you look great, then you're more confident when you step into the crowd.
You said something that I dress to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Even when I buy something, I start dreaming what am I going to wear that, because that's the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of gowns or anything like that. I love clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my thing,
For me, if I like the jacket I'm wearing, which I would never wear a jacket a few years ago. If I like the jacket I'm wearing, I'm usually confident.
But I was that's one thing that Ryan Serhan.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
he wrote
dresses
his
very
book,
well.
and he said he want to do a business. He got a suit just for that one. I said this is the one because you feel more professional, more confident. You can the word's going to be easier to talk.
Yeah,
So, you know.
He's hilarious, and he always looks great.
I was invited to an 80s themed birthday party a couple of weeks ago.
Oh dear.
At Rebellion. And so I literally still have my denim jacket from the 80s. So I had a popped up.
Hey, I saw the picture. Yeah,
collar,
that was
and
really
I had the jacket on. And then a really professional person I respect greatly in the community came in and looked at me. And that's when it's a costume party, and he's like, oh, okay. I was like, but it was fun. It was fun for to break out the.
Well, I always wear my jeans like that, so I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, that's no problem.
Well, the denim jacket was airbrushed. It was very 80s.
No problem. That's good.
I want to bring up one more thing real quick, because the pleasure of being able to sell your home.
Yes.
And playing matchmaker, I think she's really happy there.
I'm so happy. I'm really happy. It was.
That was I've done 4 or 5 deals like that to bring the buyer to the house without putting it on the market. We sold it off market.
You told me that.
And she was military. She had hunted and couldn't find, and finally I thought, oh, Gordon's house, and it just worked.
You're part of the story I just told, so I don't mind sharing it here. When I didn't have all the answers of how we were going to make a living completely when I left church. I mean, I knew I was going to make as much money as I could, but I mean, we had debts, we had all these problems, and a wonderful house, but it was over 20 years old. I mean, they were going to need some repairs. And Missy came to me and said, "I've got someone to buy your house." And our house wasn't on the market. From email to move was less than 30 days. And
they actually found a rental
and
in
we
the
found
interim.
a place
That was the hardest
but
thing.
That was November of 2020, which we all remember what that time was like, and it transformed our life. I don't know how we would do what we have done with that. So we paid off the cars, paid off the credit card, and walked into a house that's only 4 years old, and we were debt free. And so it's a wonderful house. It's a house that deserved to be loved, and so I'm glad she's there. But
that
moment was amazing.
The stars all just came together for once, or
that
aligned,
happens.
I guess.
That happens.
Yes,
it did. It really
amazing.
did. I mean, my family was like, "What are we doing?" I was like, "You got 3 weeks to
and
pack
those girls were not happy.
They are so happy now.
I know, they're like on the sofa.
Yeah, they were not.
When I walked in, I'm like, "Oh, this is a tough crowd here."
Well, and then, but you make the bigger decisions because you can see the whole field. Not everybody can see the field, and
so that's a good point. I think a lot of times we all need to just look at the end point. Look at the light at the end of the tunnel. So
is this present pain worth what the end result's going to be? And it's hard to sometimes you don't want to.
It was good though. You made a
It's
fabulous
been fantastic.
decision, and those girls got on that train anyway.
They did.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Gordon, we thank you.
Thank you
this is
so
a blast.
much.
This is a blast, guys. It's just like hanging out. This is fun.
I love that.
It is.
So I talk a lot?
No, you did great. Well, yes. The questions usually he's like, I always say, I'm not going to talk. You talk.
Okay.
And so I end up talking the whole time. So
Well, good.
today I'm
Well, I
like kind of
appreciate you
ready.
asking
And
questions.
Fabio's got all those great questions.
Well, we have a
so.
lot of stuff in common.
We do.
Yeah.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was a blast.
So
Thank you.
please
guys.
tell everybody just verbally how to get your business, to get in touch with you.
If you want to find Capitalize Marketing and Consulting, that's at capitalize.biz. We have a marketing program that you can sign up for, and that's at capitalizeyourbest.com. And if you want coffee,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
capitalizecoffee.com. We are branded. Everything is capitalized. So
I love it.
capitalizecoffee.com.
Oh, that's
And you know what's cool is it's not your name. So you could, if you ever wanted to sell it, you can sell the whole brand.
I wanted a verb. I wanted something that described the company, and I did not want my name. So that's where we went.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
It's fun. Yeah.
All right, y'all, please subscribe. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and then we will get right back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks. Thank you.
So glad you joined us today.
Please message us on Facebook, and Fabio and I will respond to all your questions as soon as possible.
Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast,
Or anywhere you listen to your podcasts.